Wasn't planning on doing this video today. I actually had a makeup tutorial for you guys, but this I feel like is very important to talk about. I feel like it would be a waste of having such a big platform to not talk about things that could really affect specifically my audience when I could be talking about them and it could help someone. So we're gonna talk today. I ended up staying up very late last night because of a story that I had just heard about that was very concerning to me. A lot of you probably already know about Austin Jones. He's a YouTuber who does musical covers, things like that on YouTube. He had a large audience of 500,000 subscribers just on this platform, and he was just charged with 2 counts, I believe, of child pornography producing. And this is much more vile than it even appears, because if you look at the transcripts, which I don't want to read out loud, there are places I can link in the description if you really would like to read the full thing. But I think the important thing to take away from that is that this wasn't just a case, like some people are saying, of a young 24-year-old guy asking his younger fans for nudes, not really knowing that they were underage or something like that. He very manipulatively, predatorily, is that a word? It's probably not a word. The behavior is very predatory, the way that he talks to these girls who he knows are 14 years old. I think another one is 15. But the age is clearly like an important piece of this for him based on the transcripts. He asks those girls to say their age over and over again in the videos that he's asking them to send that are extremely explicit, not something that a 14-year-old should be sending a 24-year-old, but he banks on the fact that these girls idolize him and will probably feel pressured enough to do it because they don't want to disappoint him. He's exploiting his status to get something that is completely inappropriate. He threatens to leave conversations if they don't do what he's asking for exactly as he's asking for it. He uses terminology like, if you want to prove to me that you're the biggest fan, you'll do this. You need to prove it. I guess you're not my biggest fan, if they express that they're not fully comfortable with what he's asking for. And this is like textbook manipulation. This would be bad even if they weren't minors. This would be inappropriate for him to talk to someone this way, even if they were his exact age. But the fact that they're also 14 and extremely impressionable and look up to him, and he knows that, makes this disgusting. And I know some of you might be thinking, because I've seen some odd defenses for this, truly odd. Some may be thinking like, well, we need to be more sympathetic. He has a mental illness. You could argue that anyone who does anything that is outside of the norm has a mental issue. I mean, you could argue that about a serial killer, because you could say, you know, he or she has this compulsion to do this. They don't want to, but they can't help it. That doesn't excuse the fact, it doesn't change the fact that these are real things happening to real people that have long-lasting effects on their lives and the people around them. I think the mental illness point is just something that is important to think about in terms of how to rehabilitate people like this, but I don't think that that means that they have any kind of cover. They need to be held accountable for their actions when they act on things like that. It's not okay. So I don't want to derail the conversation that way. I just want to point out that I think it's appropriate to call this vile, because regardless of where it's coming from, this is vile behavior. It is something that will affect the girls who have already been impacted by this, the victims of this guy, for a long time to come. With all that said, I just wanted to come on my platform today to remind you guys, because I know that I have a very large female audience. It's like 92% female or something like that, and most of you are very young, between the ages of like 12 and 20. So I feel like it's extremely important to just be another person that reminds you that it is okay to say you're uncomfortable. It's okay to say no to people. It doesn't matter if you idolize them. It doesn't matter if you feel like maybe they would never intentionally manipulate you because you look up to them and they could never do something like that. People do that all the time. Even if they seem like they're good people, people will abuse their status to try to get what they want. Humans are shitty, and sometimes they're shitty to the point that they would do something like this. So don't put it past someone just because you admire someone or idolize someone that they couldn't possibly do something with the intent to hurt you, or even just that, regardless of intent, if they're asking for something inappropriate, know that you can and should say no. And it shouldn't matter who is asking. If you admire me and I ever asked you to hurt yourself, hurt someone that you love, damage yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, you should tell me to go fuck myself. And I truly mean that. I've never used that word in 3 years on this channel, but I feel like now is the best time ever to start using it. Don't let anyone coerce you into doing something you're not fully comfortable with. Do not let status change the line of what you think is okay. If you know in your gut that something's not okay, you have every right to tell whoever it is to go fuck themselves. I want you to know too personally that I've seen this firsthand in the entertainment industry out in Los Angeles. This has happened to me personally, and it's happened to most women that I know, honestly, where they've encountered someone who tried to use their position of power to manipulate them in some kind of way that they were uncomfortable with. Speaking for myself, I've had a Hollywood producer, someone who I'm sure has worked on things you've seen, speak very inappropriately to me in order to try to manipulate me because he promised that I would get closer to the camera department that I wanted to learn about while I was interning out here, as though that made it okay, and that didn't fly with me. And I later found out that he had sexual harassment charges brought against him, which was great, and something that at the time I didn't even realize the weight of the situation he had presented to me, because I didn't hear about these things, and you just kind of want things to go away sometimes if you're uncomfortable, which is why I want to just be another person to tell you guys that many people understand if you've ever been in that situation. It's different for everybody, but know that there's a vast support system for you. I'll leave links below if you're experiencing anything that you need to talk to someone about. And just not to be afraid to not let someone use their status or power against you, not to let them manipulate you if you idolize them or admire them in any way, and to stand firm, stand your ground, never do what you're not comfortable with. Probably repeating myself like crazy, but I know that it just helps sometimes to hear it again from another person. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's just really riled me up to see someone so blatantly talk to fans the way that he talked to his. To me, it's so obvious what he's doing, but I remember at age 14, sometimes it's harder to see those things, especially when you're the person who does idolize the person that you're getting to talk to. And just a friendly reminder that YouTubers are just people, and just be careful who you think is maybe a role model, because sometimes they're not at all. I feel like I'm getting off topic, so I'm just gonna go, but I thought about putting this on my personal channel originally, but this is something that is important enough that I want to put this on the biggest platform I have so that it reaches hopefully as many people as possible. So I'm sorry if you thought this was clickbait. I did want people to click on it, since I think that whether you're 12 or 14 or 30 or 99, this could apply to you someday. So that's all. I'll see you guys soon for a makeup tutorial. Love you.